Hello and welcome to the Red Room. Our guest today is Steve Miller. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you.
Steve, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Okay, so we should start talking about, I don't know, your career, I guess. So right now you have your own publishing. I think it's pronounced Nuelo Games.
No, it's New Low.
Oh, New
Hello.
Low. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like it looks. It's a joke name because the whole thing started out as a joke. I well, my entire career, of course, I started at TSR way back in the day, and then moved to West End Games, and then freelanced, and then moved to Wizards of the Coast, and then freelanced. Um, then I made a couple of bad choices from whom I took contracts and found myself not getting paid.
Mhm.
So I then had to, finally break down and get a real job. But but before then, I had started up. An acquaintance of mine had come up with a partial game called this. The fighting game of the game of Big Dumb Fighters is what she called it, and it was just combat game. And so we turned that into basically a spoof of rule heavy role playing games. This was back in 2011, so we didn't have third edition around yet. But it was a spoof of rule heavy games and also just badly designed games. Like we intentionally left out certain rules. I mean, it was very intentional. Hence, New Low. And the slogan was, "You've played the best. Now here's the rest." It was all very sarcastic and very self-deprecating and just poking fun at the industry and poking fun at games in general. For example, we left out ranged weapons rules. We made reference to them, but they weren't anywhere to be found in the actual rule book, and that was again 100% intentional. And of course, they were in the very first little expansion that we did. But now, New Low Games is of course my main place of interaction with the community, and frankly, these days it's my main interaction with writing in general. So, but still has the old goofy name.
So you started at TSR?
Yeah. In the game industry. Before that, I had been writing music reviews and film reviews and basically general feature writing, and I was getting burned out to the point where I was supposed to review an album. I just listened to the first 3 or 4 seconds of the song, then hit skip. That was me listening to it, and I realized, okay, I need to find something else. And I was with my game group one night, and I was complaining about. I know it's funny now. I'm looking back. At the time, I didn't, but from the time I was 7 years old, I dreamed of being a writer. I am doing what few people have a chance to do, and that is making a living at it full time. Even okay, I was writing feature reviews and such, but I was still making my full time living as a writer and selling a few poems on the side here and there. But anyhow, I was complaining to a friend, and he said, "Well, you could write these," and he held up the rule book. Why don't you write these? And the next day, I called up Bruce Hurd at TSR and had a brief conversation with him, and he told me he'd send me a packet of an editor's test, basically, which I passed. In fact, I found a typo in there that they didn't know was there. They had an error in their legal statement, and that was not part of the test. To point out that they had all rights reversed instead of all rights reserved.
That's a bad one.
Yeah, and so I did a little editing for them, and then within short order, I was designing, and then Tim Brown, the head of design at the time, called me and said, "Hey, come to Gen Con." and they hired me there while I was there. So by 90, was it 94, 93 or 94, I was at TSR. Just there in time for them to crash, of course.
So you enlisted in the last years of TSR.
Yeah, yeah. And then when they did their big Christmas layoffs, I ended up being cut. Went to West End Games, there for a few months, and got to West End Games and realized, oh my God, they're crashing too. But fortunately, the people that I worked with at Wizards, they all wanted me back working with them. So an offer came. So I contacted Wizards, and they made an offer in fairly short order. And so I was only at West End for like 6 months, and I went to Wizards of the Coast and was there for a few years, 3 years, I think, until 2000 or 2001. And then it was freelance for a while there. Yeah, and I'm sorry for jumping around. This is what my friends have to deal with.
So you were a role player before, right? Or not?
Oh yeah. Since well, a little bit in grade school, but mostly mostly when I came back to the States is when it became a bigger hobby. Until then, it was just once in a blue moon, and I had no idea about the fan community or anything like that. For example, I had an issue of Dungeon Magazine, the only issue of Dungeon Magazine that I ever saw before I came back to the U.S. And actually, before I even went to work for TSR, it's the only issue of Dragon I'd seen, which was Dragon issue number 64. And the reason that's key is Gary Gygax had an article in there, an article about how if you're not playing D&D by the rules, you're not playing D&D. And I spread that, and I went, wait a minute, what the hell is this guy on about? Because I change the rules all the time, and it's still D&D. So I'm not going to play this guy's game ever. So that's how I ended up with playing Redbox D&D and other games like that, because I discovered that on a trip back to the U.S. Yeah, I grew up mostly in Europe. I should have prefaced with that.
Yeah, you mentioned that, but it was before we started recording.
Yeah. And so for years and years, I was just playing D&D. I mean, the old red box, blue box, black box series, and once in a while, because I didn't really have a set game group. But when I came back to the States, I realized what Gygax had been talking about. He'd been talking about convention gaming, which was a total foreign concept to me. I'd never been to a game convention. In fact, oh no, I went to one right before that one Gen Con. They had one. I lived in Salt Lake City at the time, and they had a convention at the airport, which I went to. But Gen Con 93, I think, was the very first real game convention I went to. But I certainly played the games, and I very much enjoyed making up scenarios and that sort of thing. But I came at it sort of in a weird direction for most people, I guess. At TSR, there was a stop on the tour when people would come by and they would guide them around the building. And it was basically, and here's Steve Miller. He's the one guy in the building that has not read Lord of the Rings, which at the time was absolutely true.
And later, did you read it or not?
I have read it. I've read it now, but they had to pay me to read it. I got contracted to do work on the Lord of the Rings role playing game from a few years ago. Mm-hmm. Just some of the monsters in part of the monster manual. I think it was the undead mostly that they had me doing. But I had read the Silmarillion, which that's the one nobody gets through apparently. But that one I read and I really liked it. And so I bought. I had the other books. I had them for years and years, but I got bored trying to read The Hobbit. And so I never did get any further than that until, like I said, they paid me to read it. And even that,
I haven't read it yet.
What, you haven't tried it yet?
No. And I don't intend to. I tried, but not my thing. I never liked fantasy, actually, which is kind of strange because I'm a role player, but it
Yeah, I'm
Well,
I'm I'm
was not
I'm more
my.
of a mystery and crime reader when it comes to fiction and horror, I guess. But yeah, fantasy, not so much.
especially high fantasy. Yes, I've read Lord of the Rings, but it just ends at the times when the movies come out, of course. And then all my friends that had seen that read the books, they were all complaining why Tom Bombadil's part was not there. And when I read the books, like, are you guys crazy? This is boring. Why would this be in the film? Yeah.
Yes, Tom Bombadil, bane of my existence. Yes, even while deep dark confession here, I was paid to work on the property, and I still try to figure out a way to not having to read Lord of the Rings. So I figured out I had to write up the Barrow Wights. So I figured out, okay, they're in this section of the book, so I'll have to read that section. And I couldn't find the darn Barrow Wights. All I could find were these stupid songs by this Tom Bombadil guy. What the? It turns out the Barrow Wights are mentioned in one paragraph between two songs, which I realized, and I finally decided to be an honorable worker and actually read the darn things. So I felt kind of stupid at that because I wasted more time reading those songs over and over, trying to figure out where the heck the Barrow Wights were than I would have done if I just bitten the bullet in the first place. But yeah, it's kind of weird for a gamer to not have read Tolkien and then having to be dragged kicking and screaming into reading it.
So when you arrived at TSR, what did you do there? Example.
At first, I was editing AD&D, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons adventures, and this was right when they had settled their suit with Mayfair Games, or won their suit. I forget what it was, but I totally forgot about that. Yeah, I actually had done some freelance work for Mayfair. Mayfair was a company that was doing knockoff AD&D products, and TSR had threatened them once about, hey, don't steal our game system. And so they started putting a blurb on their cover, not AD&D or not approved by TSR, whatever, something like that. But ultimately, in the early 90s, they decided that they were tired of them supposedly eating into their market share, and so they sued them again. And a project that they had hired me to work on called Chronomancer, and of course, went poof. And then a few months later, I was actually working at TSR. And lo and behold, look at this coming across my desk is Chronomancer with someone else's name on it. I had done a chunk of it by the time that fell apart. But I was nowhere to be found on that product. So I went and talked to the CD and creative director in charge of that, and at least they put a little acknowledgement in there that thank you to Steve Miller or something, or development by or something like that, because I did some spells and stuff, and I did a general outline for the book. But again, I'm getting sidetracked. But yeah, that was my initial at TSR, initially editing. Then I ended up in the group that was working on Ravenloft and Dragonlance. I was still initially editing, but I ended up getting manuscript that needed a lot of reworking, and I had very little time to do it. So they're either way short or they were just not that good. And so I had to basically do development and rewrites on them in the time I should have been editing them. And eventually I just said, if I'm going to be designing these things anyway, why don't you just make me a designer? And he said, okay. The creative director did. Yeah, that makes sense. And so for a while there, I continued to basically do half of these Ravenloft modules that were coming in unfinished or just absolutely crap. And someone's going to watch this and get mad at me now because they're the credited authors on them. But so yeah, I've worked on Ravenloft for a couple of years. Was involved with the relaunch of Dragonlance for Dragonlance Fifth Age. Did entirely settings work and character work on that Dragonlance. But now I'm getting into the end of TSR rather than the initial. So
I played Dragonlance and I read the novels as well. In that case, I read the novels. In spite of being fantasy, it was, well, it's easier to read, I guess.
well, yeah, that is true. I again, I'm sort of the odd man out on Dragonlance because the main novels they're okay. I enjoyed them enough, but some of the secondary novels are the ones that I find superior and just more enjoyable to read. The ones where they decide, let's have Kidiara's backstory. Those kind of novels I found more interesting. It also could just be because I'm more of a character than a plot kind of guy. I don't know.
I don't think I've read those ones. No, I read the main
Yeah,
story.
Because normally the secondaries are, well, people assume that the secondaries are not going to be good, yes, or not as good as the main one, yeah.
But
right.
In most of the cases, yeah.
they had a bunch of books. I remember that.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah. There's a ton, and some were not good, some were very good. Um, and you never know. That's one of the problems with
Yeah.
licensed fiction like that. Or well, it wasn't really licensed; it was the company itself, but they uh, they were never big on making sure that there's continuity between the game product and the fiction product. Which, again, we're getting into later periods here, but one of the things I did on Dragonlance was do a bunch of geographic development on an island called Urgoth. And apparently, the novel was set there a few years later, and the novelist basically redid everything I'd done. So instead of sending him here's what the place is like, they just said, do whatever. And he did.
So what about at Mayfair? What did you work there? Not Mayfair. West End Games.
West End Games, they hired me to work to basically take over the Star Wars Adventure Journal, which was a uh, basically quarterly book they put out. It was 200 and some pages of game adventures and fiction. It's actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it kind of followed the model that I'm doing at Milo Games today, where each product has fiction and game material, or comics and game material, or comics and fiction, or it's always a mix of categories or genres. Um, but the Adventure Journal they had an original short story by some name author in there, and they had, of course, game material supporting the West End Games D6 Star Wars. And occasionally letters from readers or news about Star Wars, but mostly it was fiction and game material. And it was a lot of fun to work on that. I actually got to work with people that I admired, like Tom Mulvey before he died. The last thing he actually did, I got to publish. So that's made me happy. But that's mostly what I did at West End Games. And then again, because I realized when I got there that, oh no, this is not going to end well. So I went around. I tried to find other properties that they could license and use, and ended up talking with oh my gosh, I blanked on his name. This is embarrassing. Oh, Dan Curtis of Dark Shadows. So I worked on Ravenloft. I figured, hey, Dark Shadows, that's going to be an easy make. And he was interested, but then for whatever reason they became non-interested, because this was right when they were looking to sort of restart Dark Shadows, and the game seemed attractive initially, but then for whatever reason it never happened. And my last couple of months at West End Games was spent developing a new property for them to use, um, their own in-house science fiction setting, uh, kind of heavily borrowed from, if you've probably too obscure here, but there's a manga series called Dominion Tank Police by Masamune Shiro. I kind of was ripping that off, but it would have been their own property, that instead of all these licensed things that they've been doing, because I had a suspicion they were about to, based on people I knew and what I knew, that they were about to lose the Star Wars license, and that would have been the end of West End Games, because that's all they were focusing on.
Yeah.
And oh look, sure enough, they lost the license to Wizards of the Coast. A few months after I jumped ship and gone to Wizards of the Coast, but yeah, it was sort of a shock to walk in the door at a company and realize that they're kind of also on their last legs. But West End Games, great people working there. Actually, TSR, great people working there too. But so yeah, I have not had a job in the hobby industry that I haven't liked, and the people have always been great.
No, that's good experiences.
Yeah.
And that setting you were working on, did it ever get to be published, or was done closed before that?
No, when I left, they had someone else. They hired my replacement, of course. And they had him working on it for a while. And I heard through the grapevine that he really wasn't as sharp with that particular property as I'd been, and it was kind of falling by the wayside. So no, it never did see print anywhere. Some of the ideas ended up in, oh my God, what was that called? Basically ended up as D20 system rules for psychic cops, and I forget the name of the product now, but it was put out by Owen Stevens, his little company, back before I started doing little games. Gosh, what was that called? It actually did pretty well for a third party D20 thing early in the day. But every so often I get people ask whether I'm going to bring that back into print, and I probably should one of these days, because again, if people want it, I should deliver it.
So after that, Wizards of the Coast, right?
Yep, Wizards of the Coast, back to Ravenloft, back to Dragonlance, and again, loved every minute. I mean, Ravenloft was my favorite setting to work on, and Dragonlance was a very close second. I mean, I also over the years I did a little bit on Birthright, a little bit on Forgotten Realms, little generic AD&D. Something I didn't realize at the time, but because of the fact I was working on Ravenloft, they had me basically write a mod with Bruce Cordell, had me write a module called Die Vecna Die. And I didn't realize as I was writing it that this was the product that turned out the lights on second edition AD&D. That was the final AD&D product that was ever published, was Die Vecna Die. Then the next thing on my agenda at Wizards was to write a thing called Into the Dragon's Lair, or work on a thing called Into the Dragon's Lair, with the brand new system that was coming out for D&D third edition. Turns out that was the first third edition product to be published. So by just pure coincidence, I ended up turning out the lights on one game and starting up the run on of the other. Well, coincidence to me at least, and I didn't realize at the time until looking back and someone mentioned it. Combination of that, we realized, oh yeah, I guess I was at a kind of pivotal moment there in the game.
Yeah.
But actually, Into the Dragon's Lair, and I didn't know this. I'm hoping Sean Reynolds knew it, because I sure as heck didn't. Apparently, it was based on a novel. So for all my complaining about novelists not reading source material, here I was coming up with characters and doing all sorts of stuff that, for all I know, was totally against what was in the novel. I didn't even know that there was such a thing. But so I'm hoping that at least Sean Reynolds' part was closer to the novel than my part.
And so you stay there for how long? Years?
I was there, I believe, until 2001, either late 2000 or mid 2001. I forget exactly. But yeah, it was about 3 years, 2.5, 3 years.
And you left because
Got laid off again. That's
oh,
well, West End. I left to go to Wizards of the Coast, but Wizards of the Coast, they were getting ready to sell out to Hasbro, and
oh,
they were doing some staff cutbacks to make. Again, this is me speculating. They were staff cutbacks to make the bottom line look even better, and so yeah, it was a case of first in, first and last in, first out sort of thing. Um, but yeah, well, whereas it did at the 90s, 96, either 96 or 95 Christmas, they laid off like 50 or 60 people. TSR did. Wizards, I think they got rid of about 15 people of the design staff, so it was not quite the massacre that had been at TSR. But since they brought me on board toward late, I was on the chopping block. So
and after that you were still professionally writing, or
yeah. After that, I was freelancing again. That's when I did the little bit of oh my gosh, Lord of the Rings, a little bit on that game. Deciphered's Lord of the Rings game, a little bit on that. Um, and oh, I forget the other projects, but I probably should mention them anyway, since one of them is, again, I end up not getting paid, so I don't want to slander people. Um, but I shifted gears for a while there, and this was looking back, it was a terrible career move. But I shifted gears from role playing games to tax manuals, income tax manuals. I started writing educational material for a company called H&R Block, for one of their major franchises and for the company itself after a while, but mostly the franchise. And I started doing that. I started teaching tax classes. I pretty much got into that on a full-time basis. And then I let my gaming contacts kind of wither a bit, which was very, very stupid, because I used to do these panels at Comic-Con and at Gen Con and other places about breaking into the industry. And one of the things that I always said was, breaking in is easy. Staying in is hard, because you got to keep up your contacts. You got to keep up the quality. You got to meet your deadlines. And what do I do the moment I step away from gaming? I just let everything wither. So after about 5 years, I decided I want to do gaming again. I want to do role playing again. And everybody moved on to computer games. Everybody that I knew, all my contacts were gone. So, and every entertainment industry has a very short memory, and so it was difficult for me to find contracts, and the ones I took, as I've said, I made some bad choices. And on top of making bad choices, I got sick, and medical bills made it so I needed to get a real job. So for the first time in my pretty much entire working life, I got a job that had no writing component to it whatsoever, and I put that as again. I think that's a big win in a big check mark in the win column, because most people don't even have a month of writing full time that like being writers. So I would say that 15-year run, 15, 16-year run was pretty good, yeah. and I'm still doing it now. I mean, that's why I keep mentioning Milo Games. Still something to do for the fun of it. But and I have a I also occasionally will do development on games and do sort of work behind the scenes, get a little bit of money that way. Gotta keep my hand in with other people, but mostly it's just a sideline these days because, well, real job.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, takes most of your time. Okay, let's share the screen. Show your stuff at
Oh
our
yeah.
our favorite companies. So, what should we talk about from here?
Gosh, I don't know. Probably the most popular would be the label that's called OGL Modern.
Hmm.
That's that's the third edition stuff, and we're one of the. Oh, that's in one thing that we started doing last year, and I see that they're all selling very well. You see, there's that Enchanted Erotica, Eerie Erotica. We started doing adult material, and those are the adult material. I didn't realize that they were doing that well. Um, but the more standard stuff, like we just recently put out, yeah. See, there's the. Oh, of course, you can't see that I'm moving. Oh, hi there. You want to be on camera now, huh? Yeah, get down, cat. Um, One of the things that we have been doing since the very beginning is comics with game adaptations. Oh, there it is. That's what I'm trying to remember. Stardust, the one that was a. We were talking about this earlier, and when it first got released, it was a complete bomb. But it has ended up. I think it's like copper or silver over the years, so it picked up. But Blue Beetle is another one that we did a comic on, and that's one we occasionally get emails about asking us, how can you do that? You're going to get sued by DC Comics or Warner Brothers since you're using Blue Beetle. Well, if you look at it, it says the original Blue Beetle on the cover,
Hmm.
and not the Blue Beetle from DC. This is the Blue Beetle from 1941. And if you scroll back a bit, you will see there's another Blue Beetle. There, right there, Steve Ditko's Blue Beetle, which is the kid. All right, I guess he gets to be on the camera now too.
Okay, now this is an interesting title. Relentlessly gay.
Yeah.
What what is this?
Okay. Relentlessly gay. That I it's probably bigger in the U.S. media than anywhere else, but it's the title comes from a scandal where somebody invented a hate crime. They said that they had a rainbow dragon sort of series of pots hanging in their backyard, and they got a letter from a neighbor that said that they're sick and tired of them being so relentlessly gay. And so we decided to make a product titled that, and the basic plot line is this major villain who's gay has decided that he wants to turn the world gay, but he needs some hardcore, hard-boiled gay warriors to do it for him. So he rounds up all these gay people and have them fight to death in arenas until there's going to be two left, and they're going to be his sidekicks to turn the world gay. And of course, the idea is players will turn on the bad guy, of course. But one of the reasons why we found it funny is that we collected every single gay character we had done in our products since 2011 in that one thing. I think that was out in 2012 or 2013, and this was before, you guys probably don't remember this, but this was before it became the cool thing to make characters gay, like reinvent Green Lantern. Oh yeah, yep, he's gay. He's always been gay. No, he hasn't. And we were reinventing characters, but there's a couple of Golden Age characters called Golden Age comics called the Science Sleuths. It's Jill Trent and Daisy Smythe, and the comics were they're always partners. They're out there fighting evil, beating up bad guys, shooting bad guys, but neither has a boyfriend. So hey, guess what? Now they're gay. And we were doing that before it was before everybody was doing it, and we got no credit. Damn it! But I lost connection there. I don't know.
It
Just short.
was the cat.
Yeah,
Let's blame the
I
cat.
blame. Yeah. Okay, you're being a pain, little kid. Stay away. Anyhow, what was I babbling about? Oh yeah, Berlin.
We were talking about gayness, yeah. Oh no, it was a punish, yes.
So that, and of course, we did something that was even worse when it suddenly became a cool thing to make everything gay. That's at least that's the way it seemed from our point of view. That all of a sudden, comic book characters were all becoming gay. Role playing game characters were all becoming gay. It was all becoming gay. So we did a third edition product that was titled Feats of an Adult Nature, and made some people laugh, made some people mad, but it ratcheted up the sort of virtue signaling, poking a little bit of fun at that, ratchet that up a bit. But, well, we're all being kicked out.
Yeah. Well, this doesn't usually happen. Anyway.
Well, it's the gremlins. All right, the tech curse right here. But yeah, so a lot of the early and even a little bit of the current, game stuff was again poking fun at what was in the news at the time, poking fun at the virtuous political stance that you're supposed to take. And we did it from both angles, whether you're ultra liberal or ultra right. There are some of those raw products that take shots at you. But in recent years, we haven't been quite as political, which is kind of ironic since there's so much political. Like you found the Relentlessly Gay, and there's another thing that we did called. Oh my God. The Pimp, the Protester, and the Popo. Popo being U.S. slang for police. Also, rather political in its nature, and it was making fun of the violent protests that were going on. Now, of course, I'm pointing these out. I probably shouldn't be doing this because they definitely are not something drive-through would like these days.
Yeah. Yeah, if you were doing political stuff now, I'm not sure if they would publish it.
Yeah. Oh.
How they would publish it.
I think I proved that.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. That was another one of those, hey, I have an afternoon. Let's make a game. And yeah, that did not go over well, but you guys have it at least.
I'll have to check how many downloads we had. I haven't checked it yet.
Yeah. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 3, I'd imagine.
No,
I don't.
No, more than that.
Well, it's free, so it's different.
Exactly. When it's free, you always have a lot of downloads. People love freebies.
Yeah, oh, yeah, that is true. Yeah, my best-selling items, quote unquote, are the freebies.
Yes, exactly. I think our best selling may have before you put the core book as free, probably was the first scenario that Drive2 didn't let us publish, and it became free. It was our first free scenario, I think.
For
So it
some
got a
reason,
lot of downloads.
I didn't like Sexual Holocaust.
Yes.
It was such
Huh.
a
Which was not political at all, by the way.
no, not political. It was that was refused for violence or sex stuff, whatever.
Sex and violence.
Sex and violence, violence and sex. Things that can get you banned from the drive-thru. That wasn't the one that got us banned, actually. The one
Completely
that,
banned, yeah.
yeah, the one that got us banned wasn't even our product. It was something that someone else, which will not be named, except for his pen name, which is in this case is Dick Pound. So Mr. Dick Pound wrote a game called Men, a manly RPG for manly men, and this was the one that started the process of
I've
being
heard
banned.
of that, but that was a straight up spoof, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
entirely. Yeah, it was a joke basically. Well, it's a game. There's a game in there. I'm not sure
It
if
can
it's
be
played.
played, I think.
Anyone tried it? I don't know. I think someone tried it, not us. We didn't try it because the system was in-house. It was all invented at the time, so it was kind of strange. I don't think he was really thinking about creating a playable game. More about the setting.
Yeah,
It's fun. It's very funny, extremely funny.
yeah, I haven't read it, so I won't. I'm not talking about it specifically, but one thing I have noticed, and that when people are doing, well, used to at least, I don't know if they still do it, but when they're doing funny games or games that are spoofs, yeah, they don't spend a lot of time thinking that this should also be playable. And I always say that because even though I was talking about the Rolf game earlier, where we intentionally left out rules and then then referred to them in the text, we made sure that it actually is a game that was playable. That's why there's so many supplements to it, because it's a real playable game. And again, might be irony, might be something else, but so years ago we did that intentionally with the Rolf game. We left out some rules and made reference to them. When I put out a mini game, my brain is not functioning today. I just put this darn thing out. Now I'm forgetting the name of it. It was a mini science fiction game. Void Runners. Put out Void Runners. All of a sudden, I'm at the end of it, ready to release it. Go, wait, why do I have a blank quarter page here at the end? Why is this blank? This can't be blank. It's such a short little product. All right, I'll put an illustration in there. First guy that buys a copy posts on drive-thru that, hey, you make reference to this to this rule. Where is it? Oh, that's why I suddenly had a blank quarter of a page. I'd accidentally cut that because I was cutting other stuff and I cut something that I didn't mean to cut and didn't realize it. That's one of the beauties of digital publishing. I was able to fix that mistake and get another one up there like that very same day, which made that one customer very happy and made everyone else that bought it happy too, because now the game makes sense. But yeah, I'm my own editor.
I've done those. I've had those issues as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes the complaints are helpful.
Oh yeah. I actually the main complaint that I have, if I were to complain, is that I get very little feedback. I mean, some of the feedback goes off on, okay, that sold well, so I can do another one like that. But it would be nice to know more often what people like and don't like, especially since what I put out is such a hodgepodge of. I mean, again, one book will have comics and fiction and game material in it, and that's like one of the customers posted a review, said that Nulo's model is to come for the fluff, stay for the crunch. So you come for the comics and the game, or comics and the fiction, and you stay for the game material. And that's the thing. I'm never quite sure what is going to be the most popular in any one thing. And as showed recently, We've been putting out a little more fiction anthologies than we have in the past because they were doing pretty well. And until the most recent one, which it has not done well. um, but one of the joys, I suppose, of having a job outside of the industry now is that this Nulo Games, what I say kind of jokingly, although not, it pays for the cat food and the gas in the car. Um,
Yeah, you can do whatever you want, and
exactly,
You
exactly.
don't have to worry if it sells or not. At least you do what you feel like doing. Yeah.
Yeah. If I enjoy it, and hopefully other people enjoy it too. That's where I'm at these days.
so
Um,
you have used AI for illustrations. Have people complained about that?
yes, I have gotten some people that have gone off the rails over that. Not fortunately, fortunately, now words are failing me. Unfortunately, not in like people that have given me review feedback and such. These have mostly been artists and industry people that have been upset. Um, uh, I see it as another tool. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't see, for personally, I don't see it any different than me scouring old comics and, oh, this panel here, this is the illo that I need. Let me go in and rework this. Um,
It's
both
just
is,
faster than that.
I'm sorry.
Faster. It's easier and faster than having to do that, going
Well,
to comics and picking up public domain.
that is certainly true. Our release schedule, the second half of 2025 did accelerate a bit because I was using mostly AI. But for example, next week we'll be releasing a thing called the Celestial Mandate. Um, and it has an AI cover, but the internal art is all the public domain uh, stuff that we recycle from the public domain. Um, so we're doing half and half. We're mixing it. But also trying to remain with a consistent style. I mean, for example, uh, we do this the little sub series in some products called the Love Collection, which is when I took an actress named Bessie Love from the silent era and turned her into kind of what someone has called a Buffy-esque warrior against evil. That's basically a good description. I wasn't thinking about Buffy at the time, but it works. So I've been using AI to make basically fake pictures, of this actress. Again, not anything that's going to get me sued because, uh, well, public domain. Um, but without AI, I wouldn't have been able to do that. And I did. It's just, as far as I'm concerned, just another tool. Now, what blows my mind is people that are able to use it to generate fiction and writing and books through. Because I've played with that, and frankly, everything that I've been able to produce has been utter garbage. Um, or I don't think the illustrations are
It's
that
better.
bad.
It's definitely better at doing illustrations than text, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've noticed that. Well, I use it for editing my texts and rewriting stuff because it corrects my grammar, which is bad. But that's different. Technical stuff. Well, I mean, English is not my native language, so
right.
ChatGPT is better than me at English. But coming up with concepts and all that, no, it's not. It's
Yeah,
silly
yeah. I've
stuff.
plugged some outlines into it, and what's come back has been trash. But um, one thing that's even funnier. I don't know if I'm the only one who does this. I might be the only one who does this. Have you ever done an ego search online to see what comes back? Where you go
Mm.
at Google and you put your name in or put in your company's name and then you see what comes back?
Oh yeah, Not my name, but the Red Room here.
Yeah. Do that with Chat GPT or some other. No, do that with Google. Google Gemini, I think their AI is.
Yeah. I mean,
You will get the most hilarious stuff back. I, for example, am,
okay.
am the proprietor of of a very successful game company with billions of fans. Billions, I tell you. Um, and sometimes I'll put in and say, does Steve Miller like Newell games like his fans or something weird like that, just to see what happens. Or is Steve Miller conservative? Is Steve Miller a liberal? And I'll get, one time the icon says, there's not a lot of evidence out there one way or the other. He keeps his private life pretty private. And other times it will just make up stuff.
Because that's what it's done, is Gen AI. But I was thinking that it could, when you were talking about having to read Lord of the Rings, that AI could have been helpful for you at the time to summarize and find out where exactly what you needed was from.
Yeah.
That got us right. I asked it about the Red Room, and the answers are kind of. It probably searched on our site because
Yeah,
it's.
yeah. But sometimes it hallucinates. That's the thing. Yeah.
In this case, it went to our site and answered it. I guess
Yeah.
probably.
Well, and I think that you guys would have better luck with it, or anyone looking a Red Room, because you have a bigger footprint than Newell Games. For both, because of the controversies, and also just because you guys have a more impressive catalog.
Yeah, maybe perhaps because we have a website. Still, we have it's not a store anymore, but it's also the website is still there, and there's information there about us and about the
And
Red.
all I've ever had is a blog. That's still what the Facebook and the blog is the primary vehicles for promotion.
On other platforms, just Facebook.
When I remember, I also post on Twitter, but I've never used that much. Well, I guess it's not Twitter now; it's X.
X, yeah.
But that's really it. Every so often, I try to look into other platforms, and either they start fading away, or I realize that I'm not even getting the level of interaction I get with Facebook. So,
Well, I think we should try X more because I think it's right now it's better for engaging than Facebook. Facebook
really,
is. I think so.
It seems nobody's in Facebook now, right? At least from.
Well, if you because you post a lot, maybe people still see your posts. When I post on Facebook, unless I'm posting to our group, basically no one sees it.
yeah, I've been noticing that my feed is not what it used to be. That the people that I used to see all the time, I don't see very much anymore, and instead I see sponsored posts. Yeah,
I mostly see ads and stuff. I don't really follow even, but they suggest posts.
Pages that I don't follow and I'm not interested in following. Yeah.
yeah, that's a good point. All right, I should take. Yeah, I'll take your advice on that one definitely, because again, all it takes is a few minutes to make a post.
Yeah, but you can just copy your post from one to the other, and then
Yeah,
Facebook to me feels like a ghost town now.
yeah, it's a bit like that.
yeah, except for the groups, I suppose. No, even the groups seem to be dwindling a bit.
Yeah,
Um,
they were easier years ago. Now. Right now, it's kind of dead. I also spend lots of time on Discord. We have a server there, so it's where our friends usually hang out.
on
So
where?
Discord.
Oh, Discord. Yeah, we use that to game these days.
Yeah. Also that. Actually, we when I'm running, I use this. I use Restream.
Holy crap. That was badly timed. Wow, here, you'll have my final appearance. Oh my God. Yeah, yeah, I'm a great guest to have on.
Just don't die on screen. Or people are going to blame us.
Yeah, I'll try to.
Ben from Drive Thru, and we also killed Steve Miller.
Yeah, it's funny that that Nabby Nicholas game got banned because the very next week I came up with another card game, which I thought would be fun, and it was called Trump Cards.
I've seen that. Yeah. So,
Yeah, you saw the little AI thing I put up for it, probably.
and did you publish the game or not?
No, did not. I had not gotten around to it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen. Yeah, it was basically a preview or something.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, because I figured I would be putting it out, even though I suspected that drive-through would say no, and sure enough, I mean, I didn't send it. I sent them their customer relations an email and said, hey, this is the concept. You got rid of this other game, but does this seem like it might fly? And they said, well, send it to us and we'll see. And I said, I know where it's going to go. So but then when I reread it, I decided I needed to fix some of the mechanics. So I haven't uploaded it yet. Sometimes I can do something in the afternoon that seems like it works. Other times, no, go back and lay back down. Sometimes it ends up not working out that way. It's just, and you really should spend more time in an afternoon making a game.
I spend the whole day, so
Yeah, yeah.
it's a bit different from me. I start in the morning and I end in the afternoon, so it's.
Well, it's actually part of it is a sort of little challenge that I've been doing for years and years and years. I even got Jeff Grubb to do one, which is basically 30 minutes to come up with concept, 30 minutes to write the basic rules, and then 30 minutes to edit it. And you have to have a complete game at the end of that. And sometimes, again, it didn't work for me with the Trump cards. I had to go. It means a little more work. But Jeff Grubb, you know Jeff Grubb, right? Game designer, Forgotten Realms writer. Well, he did a lot of D&D work, and he's an acquaintance, and he did one of these 30-minute role playing games, which we sell through Nulo. Which, again, he's the only other one that's tried it, and what is it? You there? See? Oh, don't want to look. Okay. Oh, silly cat. He does this whenever I sit and I'm talking. Same thing when I'm gaming. Whatever he thinks, hey, you're talking to somebody. You better be talking to me.
So another.
So anyhow, Jeff Grubb did this short little role playing game, which has done quite well because it's Jeff Grubb. But yeah, so the point there was that
as well.
I'm sorry.
I think you mentioned. Do you usually run your games online?
Yeah. Actually, right now we've got two games going. We run I'm running a D&D game. Well, it's a third edition. We're stuck in the past. We're actually still playing 3.5 rules, but even more stuck in the past. It's 3.5 rules, but it's set in Blackmoor, which was Steve Artison's original setting, and I'm using his maps for it to a large extent. Um, and then the other game that we do that on Friday nights. This is how old geeky we are. That our weekends are spent gaming. So Friday nights is D&D, and then Saturday nights, many of the same players. It's a Star Wars game that has been, well, same universe, but I started a Star Wars game in 1995, and with the exception of the 3 months of that West End Games, it has been running every week, nonstop, since 1995. Um, Although for the second time now, someone else has taken over and they're running the Star Wars game, and I'm just playing.
Is it West End Star Wars?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We did for a little bit. Oh, I totally forgot that I worked on Star Wars at Wizards as well. When I was going over what I'd done at Wizards, I forgot about Star Wars.
I never played that one, but West Ends was one of my favorite games.
Well, since this is just between you, me, and nobody else, I think the D6 system is the better one too. As much as I love uh, D20, D6 will always be Star Wars for me. I like the D20 a little better than I like Decipher's Star Wars, but not by much. Um, so yeah, uh, yeah. That's one thing that's kind of very bad about me. I forget what I've worked on.
Well, but there was a lot of stuff, so
Yeah, I can't number. I can't number the. I can't say the number of times I got an email from somebody that says, "Hey, I really liked what you did on X or this product," and I look and I said, "I'd never worked on that. I don't know what he's talking about." Then I'll go look at my shelf and, oh wait, I did do something on that. Oh yeah, I wrote that chapter. I forgot about that. Um, and sometimes they're books I don't even have copies of anymore because I've given them away and not realize I'm giving away the last copy because I try to keep a copy of everything. Partly so I can go look at my shelf and go, oh yes, I guess I did do that. But yeah, there's just been way too much stuff over the years.
Especially because you were writing parts of games and parts of books,
Yep.
and some of them you probably remember. It wasn't too long ago, and then you just forget about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's normal. I sometimes have problems thinking of remembering things that I done 5 years ago, and so 15 or 20 years ago it would be much worse.
Yeah, and one thing that I never kept, which is now looking back, I regret. I never kept tear sheets, or I never clipped out the various articles and columns and stuff that I wrote back when I was doing feature writing. So there are hundreds of articles there that if anybody were to somehow dig one of those out and ask me about it, I would have absolutely no clue. Um, oh, I reviewed REM. Oh, okay, if you say so.
So about movies, I know that you are a movie buff, so I
Yeah.
think we should talk a little bit about that as well. Um, Favorite movies. We
Oh my
didn't
God.
talk favorite movies a days ago, so I think we should ask that. Of course, you are not prepared, but
Right.
that's
Um,
even better.
well, let's see. Favorite horror movies. That would have to be, bar none, my all-time favorite is a movie called The Changeling.
change.
Not the one with Angelina Jolie, but the one with George C. Scott. It's
I
a
know that. Yeah,
it's a wonderful ghost movie, and it's creepy as all get out. Um, that's my all-time favorite horror movie. Everything with Evil Dead in the title is a close second.
hmm
Um,
that definitely.
yeah. As far as action films, uh, this is an odd one, but it's always makes if I've had to make a top list, it has to be on there. It's called The Last Action Hero
Hmm.
with Arnold
Mm.
Schwarzenegger, and the actual reason I love that one so much is it's about writing to some extent because there's a scene in the police station where I think it's a police station where the characters are talking and cartoon duck, is walking by in the background because the author was thinking about a cartoon duck at the time he was writing the scene.
Hmm.
It made it, it's not visible to the audience unless you get into the world because it's off camera, so to speak. So I just love that about that movie. Those little things. Also love the Transporter films. Didn't realize there's 5 of those. I thought there was only 3, but I guess I need to catch up. Yeah, off the top of my head, I can't think of any others. But I'm sure if the moment somebody mentions it, I'll go, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that." Well, Die Hard. Who doesn't like Die Hard? I think that's obligated.
Is it a Christmas movie or not?
I would say it's a movie that takes place at Christmas. I'll split the difference here. I can see the argument for both sides. Certainly not a Christmas movie in the Hallmark sense, but it. I'll stay up here on the fence on that one. And let's see. If we start going to. I don't know how far back we're going, but favorite comedy. That's one is a hard one. Because on one hand, I really love all the Naked Gun kind of movies, including the most recent one with Liam Neeson.
I haven't watched it yet.
It was okay. It's not as great as the old ones, or that could just be I'm an old guy and I'm all nostalgic for the past. But
Yeah, I mean, Liam Neeson is not. Jesus, I'm forgetting his name now. Leslie Nelson. Yes.
Yeah, Leslie Nielsen was made for that role.
Yes. Yes.
yeah, Leslie Nielsen.
He made the role.
Yeah, Leslie Nielsen, the guy that was early in his career a dramatic actor, and then did a hard turn into comedy.
I love all those films in which Airplane.
I think it was. I like him more in comedy than the places where I saw him before that. Though I don't really remember. Well, Forbidden Planet, I remember that.
Oh yes, yeah. And as far as science fiction goes, Star Wars, but that's more fantasy, frankly, than science fiction. But
yeah,
love Star Wars. Love actually a movie that not many people mention, but I think it's a fabulous one. Is Outland.
We like that one very much.
Sure. It's another one of those mix of genres. I guess I go for that. If you mix genres, you've got me halfway on the hook already. Then there's a lot of stuff I like from the 30s and 40s, like the Thin Man movies. I like all of those. Silent movies. Wow, I can't remember the titles, but basically everything I've seen with Bessie Love, that's actress again that I talked about earlier.
I had never heard about her before your posts. Was she famous at the time?
Yes, at the time she was. Well, I wouldn't say she's a superstar, but she was a star. She was a big star. She was pretty much in any kind of movie you could think of that they're making at the time. She was in dramas, she was in comedies, she was in feature films, she was in short films, she was in musicals right at the beginning of talkies. yeah, she was quite famous at that time, um, which sort of shows how quickly you can, well, not quickly, but how fame works.
Yeah.
She,
There are some names from that time that I can, well, probably not remember right now, but there were some uh, actors and actresses
yeah,
that I can still that are still remembered.
yeah, a lot of times it's the ones that sort of survived, quote unquote, the transition into talkies.
Rockies, yeah.
But and while Love did that, she got an Oscar nomination for I think one of the first musicals that were made. Um, but she then went to England and sort of fell out of movies and did a lot of stage work. So that's right there. That started her decline into obscurity.
Mhm.
Um,
So,
but
how did you become a fan of her work?
oh wow, what was the film? I saw one of her movies and went, "Why have I never seen this actress before?" But which one was it? Uh, I think it was. Yeah, I. Oh my God! It's the one with the car. It's like a road picture before there were road pictures. With the family going cross country. But what the heck was the title? Rubber tires. Rubber tires. I saw Rubber Tires and was just amazed that this actress, I'd never heard of her before. Um, and then I started seeking out films, and mostly at um, well, the Internet Archive and YouTube is where I had to go for most of her films. Because the only one that she's really remembered for in the broader public is a film called The Lost World. It's the first adaptation of was it Conan Doyle that wrote The Lost World?
I think so.
Yeah, yeah, she was in that. That's the one thing that the film that she's in that's most remembered, um, and it's well deserved. Well deserved, so because special effects in that thing, some of them still look good by today's standards. Um, okay, that's a slight exaggeration, but they look amazing for the time it was.
Well, for today's standards, I don't know because they're becoming very
Yeah,
crappy right now. So probably.
right. Oh, yeah. But yeah, so that movie is basically what made me uh, first notice her. And then it was the fact that there were just a lot of weird, sort of quirky pictures of her, just odd pictures. Um, and then that turned into, well, she's sitting there with a magic statue. And then came the mystic warrior thing and how I rewrote her real history. That she didn't drop out of acting. She moved to England. She dropped out of acting because she got too busy fighting evil spirits. Uh, but yeah, I just became enamored with her through Rubber Tires. Is how it started. Um, and Rubber Tires, you can go watch it on my YouTube channel. Nobody has copyright to claim copyright on that one yet, at least. But yeah, if you like lighthearted, slightly goofy films, and you don't mind silent movies, I highly recommend Rubber Tires
Or the Lost World, maybe.
or The Lost World. Yeah, Lost World would probably be more people's speed. Um, but yeah, she did dozens and dozens of movies, and she acted all the way up through 1984, I think. So she was born in like the 1890s and was acting right up to the 80s. Either
She,
stage, radio, or what's that?
she had a long career.
Yep, yep, yep. Um, so that's kind of rambling, but man, yeah, my favorite movies. That's a question to spring on me, and I will have to think very hard because Sometimes I forget. It's
It was
like
it was a surprise question. You weren't prepared for that.
a lot of times, I even I forget. Oh, speaking of forgetting, one film that I am also very fond of is Something Wicked This Way Comes. It's kind of a kids movie, but I think it's a
Mhm.
pretty well done adaptation of the novel, which the novel is one of my favorite novels. So, like Ray Bradbury is one of my favorite authors.
Yeah, we
So,
are big fans of Bradbury as well.
And I like that. Yeah, and I also like the film. Yeah.
Something we
do you read him in English or is he translated into Portuguese?
yeah, in English.
In English.
When the author is an English language author, always want to read it in the original language. Portuguese translations suck as well. So
Well, that's the reason why I asked because I read one of his novels, Dandelion Wine. I read it first in Danish and went, "Wow, this is not very Bradbury-like." Then I read it, the real, no, the English version, and went, "Okay, now I see. It's just hard to translate him into another language."
yeah, I think probably there are authors that are more difficult to translate. But yeah, if it's an English language author, I would rather read the original.
And the translations in Portugal are very
Yeah.
bad normally. I remember, for example, I mean, one of the reasons for Lord of the Rings in Portuguese has a
Yeah.
very famous bad translation. So
Yeah,
even if we had read it in there when we were kids, when most geeky people did in Portuguese, we would have hated. I don't know how some of the, and I know people that read them in English, in Portuguese. How could they like like them since it
I don't
was
know.
so bad?
I tried, and it was that exactly that version. And yeah,
Yeah.
it was. I didn't like the story because it's fantasy, but the translation made it much worse.
huh,
Really, really bad.
yeah. Well, that one I've only read in English, so but
I've even read English translations of authors that are not English because I'm sure the English translation is better than the Portuguese ones. I'd rather do that. Even Spanish authors.
oh, yeah. Spanish and Portuguese are kind of close. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, yeah. I can read Spanish, but it takes longer. Takes a bit
Yeah,
longer.
and in some cases it's hard. So if it's, for example, a historical novel, it's very hard to read it in I tried in
Yeah,
Spanish.
I've had that problem as well. There are certain words that you have no idea what they mean. If it's something very technical or specific about some kind of subject, there's no the connection is not as close. So everyday language is similar, but there are certain words that have no
Yeah.
connection at all. And then you have to read the book with a dictionary, so it's not really.
Yeah. Kind of like sometimes I say that I can read Dutch because I know Danish, English, and German, and Dutch is kind of a patchwork language. So between those three, I can mostly make out what I'm looking at as I'm reading. But there is so often there's a word or a phrase that I don't know what this means.
Yeah, it sounds like exactly like that. I don't understand Dutch at all, but if I'm hearing, there are certain words that I can recognize.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
similar to
if you would speak to me in Dutch, I would not know a darn thing you're saying, and I can't speak it either. But like I said, the reading it is it's a little bit like I would. Well, I don't know. I'm just drawing parallels. I have no idea.
yeah, that's I think that's true. Yeah, probably. I learned French, but nowadays I cannot speak it. But I can
Oh,
read it. I can
uh,
read some of it.
I came back to the States. I mean, I grew up pretty much speaking Danish. I have to think really hard about you when I try to use Danish now because I've been speaking English exclusively for since the 80s. Yeah, if you don't use languages, they atrophy and they fade away.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true.
which unfortunately I've learned. Although when I do get together with family and such, it comes back pretty quickly. But if I were to try to speak French now, the only French phrase I could do was "Je ne parle pas français," and that would be
And then they start speaking in French with you, because I tried that in here in Portugal. Or, oh no, je ne parle pas français, of course. And then, yes, you do.
oh,
The French has that problem with the verbs, and if the words are just
Portuguese also has that problem, but it's one
yes,
thing
but
is a language
it's
that
my
you learn
language.
easily.
I don't
Yeah.
forget that one. But terrible. German was terrible. I tried learning German, but I gave it up.
So, I'm still trying to learn German, but yeah, Miguel is like, oh no, you're not gonna learn it. And the thing that is very
Yeah.
complicated, and well, that is strange, is that we have male and female for the objects, but the Germans they have it different, so it's complete. So it's very
oh,
it's weird.
It's
It
hit or
doesn't
miss.
match ours. Yes,
Yeah, French words is in French is closer, almost the
I think it's
same.
closer. Yes, most of the time it's closer.
Remember, it's the is this male or female? I don't know. This the table or chair. Just- It seems random.
I actually hadn't thought about that, but yeah, you're right. Again, in Danish they have male and female, and then a neuter, and it's like in German. But yeah, sometimes they're different. Yeah,
Yeah, I
interesting.
think in French and Spanish and probably Portuguese and Italian, I think it's mostly the same because it's the same roots.
Yeah, it tends to be the same. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably that I think. But yeah, German is completely different.
Well,
Danish, I don't know, but I'm sure it is. Actually, I didn't know that in Danish they had female and male as well.
yep. It's not something that is that front and center. The only really, I don't even know that they think about it much. The only reason I know about it is I grew up in a part of the country where Denmark, at least back when I was living there, you went over a hill and people would speak a different dialect. I mean, they're minor differences, but they're different. And the place where I grew up, everything was basically neuter. They everything was. I'd have to explain Danish grammar to make that make sense. Just realize now, which nobody cares about. But so that's the only reason why it registered with me that there was male and female and neuter was because everything was neuter. When you refer to things in a certain way, like but when you went possessive, then suddenly the words had the genders again. Um, it just a weird little language quirk, but yeah, it's mostly the pronouns that they got wrong where I grew up. Um,
So, would you like to talk about any projects that you have for Newro?
uh, well, we've got several fiction anthologies in various stages of completion. So can't really talk about those. I'm not really sure. The only thing I'm 100% certain of, because sometimes I decide to scrap something at the last minute. Sometimes I'll push something up because I see something in someone else publishing or something in the media that makes me, aha, I need to rush this, which of course is bad for editing. But the one thing that we have coming out is definitely, because it's already done and it's been ready to go for a couple of weeks, is I mentioned it. It's a thing called Celestial Mandate.
Yeah, you mentioned.
It's the Chinese zodiac adapted for the D20 system. So you get feats and skills and sorts of things like that. We did the zodiac, just European zodiac, a few months back now, I guess. I don't know, but it did quite well. And we'd had this actually before I started on the straight up zodiac. The Chinese zodiac has been sitting half finished or 3/4 of the way finished for, I don't know, a year and a half, maybe longer. Just I just didn't feel motivated to finish it. But when the Zodiac one did okay, and it was Chinese New Year the next month, seemed okay. Might as well get this thing done and out. So that's what's been absorbing my time over the last week or two. Is finishing that up, getting ready to go, and that's the one that has a. Oh no, that one. Oh yeah, that one has an AI cover, but the interior art is all human made completely by human hands. Um, Except for the fact that they were drawing it on a computer tablet and they did it with Photoshop. And no, I don't know whether those artists did that or not. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
but you never know. And yeah, I mean, I do like the people that say that they draw the line on that. But yeah, but they still are using computers to draw most of the time.
Yep. So that's the one thing that I know we have. What's that?
No, sorry. Yes, in Photoshop. I
Yeah,
wanted to
no,
repeat.
I'm sorry. Let's see what else might be going on. Yeah, everything else is in various stages of completion, and I've learned a few years ago not to talk about stuff like I'm actually going to get it finished. Like for example, well, trump cards. There's a perfect example right there. And actually, interestingly, for me at least, another product that a lot of work was done on and then it ended up not getting finished was another Trump thing. It was called Secrets of Covfefe. And that thing was like 3/4 of the way done, and then I got busy with other things, and then the window had just closed because it was tied to the whole Covfefe thing, and if we didn't get it out within a couple of months, the opportunity was gone.
It's forgotten now.
Yeah, exactly.
I was laughing. I remember that, but it was a long time ago.
Yep. Yeah, 2016. That's an eternity ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see what else. No, the only thing I can really plug would be that. Other than people should go to your site and get that free card game.
Yeah, that's how we decided to do this guest appearance.
Yeah.
Because we published, well, not published, we released for you, Nabbing Nicholas.
Yeah.
Which, if you are watching this video, you probably already downloaded it.
If you didn't, then go and download it now.
Hey, I think we should. That's just an idea I'm going to put here now. Do a collaboration. What do you think?
Yeah. No, I think so. We seem. I haven't read everything you guys have done, but we do seem to sort of be in the same general wheelhouse.
So yeah, we have touched some subjects. Well, I'll send you some stuff if you want.
Yeah, please. Yeah, that would be great.
We had so we have two main lines of things. The red shed line, which was the first one, and now it's the red line. When we were working on Ratchet, so it was mostly it was settings with rules, with additional rules. There's a core book, a Ratchet core book, and then there's the settings. There's one that might be an option for that. It was called Mirage Hill Chronicles. It's about a Hollywood style stuff, but classic, not nowadays.
No.
I can send you that one.
Okay, yeah, I will take a look at it. And so, are you currently sort of revamping Wretched? Because it seemed like I've been seeing.
Yeah, some of the not only, but some of the new line editions are based on or parts of it are the Wretched settings.
One of the things people complained was that Ratchet had a core rule and then it had settings. But
Yeah.
in this one, so is everything. So it's each one. It's their only game. And now people can complain there are too many games.
Yeah, now there are books, and then it's easier to get into it.
people complain that you did setting books.
No, I mean, they didn't. Yeah, they did because there was a bit of in the beginning. There was a bit of repetition or something. I don't remember exactly what people complained. But then we did just a core book that was free, and then the settings.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, they didn't complain about that, I think.
Yeah. Just after we changed it with that.
But yeah. Being settings, I think most people liked it because they just had the rules in the same, and then just they
But now
brought.
Red is a full line of games because each it's completely separate. I mean, the things that we are releasing.
Yeah.
But when I'm doing a ratchet setting, I just use a very summarized set of rules, so it won't be a very large book, which is especially important if it's print because it gets expensive. The more pages get a little
Yeah.
bit more expensive. Okay, so we must talk about that.
Yeah, definitely. Um,
Okay, so if you already mentioned yours, yeah, Trump is the Trump cards was the last thing, yeah,
yeah,
the last project. The
I
rest
mentioned,
is finished, yeah.
yeah, and I've mentioned that Rolf is still there. If people want just a goofy combat game, um, that's actually has its own little category on that site we were looking at earlier. On Drive Through RPG, it has its own category, so people can find that. Again, they just want something goofy. Even that we put in I think it was called Fists of Foolishness. We put the whole game in. We adapted the game to work with Robert E. Howard settings, and put it in the back of Fists of Foolishness.
I'm trying to show it, but it's loading. Okay.
Oh, scroll. Oh yeah, it's right there. That one has the entire Rolf game in it, as well as a bunch of boxing short stories. I think 10 stories, if I recall right. I think we renamed it the Violent Worlds of Robert E. Howard or something like that, but it's basically the Rolf game. So, but yeah, that's another thing that we have. Although we haven't, and that one is definitely a we because both L.L. Hundal and I have done. I mean, she was the one that originally came up with Rolf, so most of those have been co-written. But yeah, no, we definitely need to talk about doing something.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming and waiting for 20 minutes before you started this.
Oh, I appreciate the invitation. This was a great conversation. So look forward to talking more.
Okay, so thank you and see you around.